Is the Farm Bill, and why should you care? The Farm Bill actually covers more than just what's on the farm. It includes food assistance programs for struggling families, like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, as well as bloated farm subsidies for big ag, and more. It also includes Congress's best chance at reducing emissions from agriculture, which could become the biggest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions soon if major changes in farm policy are not quickly adopted.
There are competing Farm Bill proposals in the House and the Senate. If the House version of the Farm Bill becomes law, it could result in pesticides being sprayed where your kids play and without your knowledge. Pesticide manufacturers want to prevent states and local governments from requiring additional warnings and use restrictions so that they can minimize their liability for related health problems and protect their own bottom line. They also want to undo existing laws that keep pesticides from being sprayed around schools or places where kids might be playing or present, such as parks. Thousands of schools are located near places across the U.S. where pesticides may be sprayed. Some of these chemicals have been linked to serious health harms, including cancer, Parkinson's, and harm to development and reproduction. Children are especially susceptible to potential health problems. These policies are supported by large chemical corporations and big ag, at the expense of farmers, workers, and people who care about what their kids are exposed to.
If the House Farm Bill passes, it will make rich farmers even richer. Between 2021 and 2023, farmers collected more than $55 billion in taxpayer-funded farm subsidies. National net farm income has also gone up over time, reaching new heights between 2021 and 2023. Most of this money and these subsidies went to the largest farms, which do not need the help. Yet the current House Farm Bill proposal would divert $30 billion of anti-hunger funds from SNAP that 41 million Americans living on a low income rely on to put food on the table. Instead, that money would be used to dramatically increase subsidies for a handful of large peanut, rice, and cotton farmers, primarily in southern states. Raising these subsidies will drive up the cost of renting and buying lands, further tilting the playing fields against the small family farm, black farmers, and young farmers, when many small farms are already struggling and many have been pushed out of business altogether. Instead of providing more taxpayer dollars for farm subsidy programs, the House should reform farm subsidies to save taxpayers money and make federal farm policy more equitable for everyone.
If the House Farm Bill passes, money will be moved away from climate-smart agriculture practices. To fight the climate crisis, agriculture's emissions must be reined in, but they could surge if House Republicans get their way. They're fighting to scrap guardrails designed to ensure that a significant amount of Department of Agriculture funding goes to climate-smart practices that reduce emissions and build soil carbon. These practices, like cover crops, are also proven to be beneficial for water and air quality. In 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act included over $19 billion in additional funds for farmers to use to implement climate-smart practices that actually reduce greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture. Prior to this funding, more than half of the applicants for this conservation funding were turned down because of high demand. Farmers and ranchers want to use climate-smart practices. If Congress removes the climate focus of the remaining $19 billion, the USDA will likely revert to its previous ways, when less than 1/4 of conservation funding flowed to practices that reduced greenhouse gas emissions. This increase in emissions could be massive. For example, just a 15% reduction in cover crop acreage could lead to the equivalent of over 260 million miles of vehicle travel emissions. And that's just one conservation practice. Congress needs to follow through on its promise to farmers and ranchers and protect climate-smart guardrails in conservation funding.
You can join EWG by taking action at the link in our bio.